Chris, did you ever play past the junior varsity level of basketball?
Well, I got asked to leave the varsity team. So, yes, I did play varsity basketball, but I got asked to leave.
And why did you get asked to leave?
Creative differences with the coach.
And what kind of creative differences?
He thought that I was probably a little bit better at football, and they were like, we don't want to risk you getting hurt and taking your time, so we need to get you out to run track and play football. So they said it's probably the best thing for you.
DC ain't even make JVT. I love it.
I 100% did, and I was asked to leave. And, you know, there's a lot of people out there that know why and that can stay. It's not something we need to dig up.
It was fighting was involved, if I'm not mistaken, correct? You beat somebody. Basically, you bullied somebody.
I was a lover, not a fighter, and I have the daughter to prove it, you know. So
Welcome to Big B Daily. No frauds allowed.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome again, Big B Daily. Welcome back. Appreciate y'all being here, man. We are live. What is going on? Again, every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time, we are live. We appreciate everybody being here, man. So we got some things to cover today. We already got some wild statements out there from people. Lord have mercy. We got people saying that the Commanders had the best draft. Oh, my goodness. No, they didn't. Not even remotely close. And here's the thing. It's not that they picked bad guys. They just didn't address the needs that they needed to address. But it is what it is. I love it. I appreciate everybody being here, man. We got a lot of things to cover today, so let's get after it. We're going to talk about some of this NBA stuff. And again, we're going to get to the draft. I get it. But just follow along. We'll get through the NBA stuff as quickly as we can, and then we'll get to some of these draft grades. So I appreciate you all being patient, you all being here. Thanks for showing up. Let's get to this. So, and again, as always, man, everybody out there, if you enjoy what we're doing and you appreciate it and you want to support the show, you know exactly how to do that, all different ways. Please click the link in the bio. There's ways to be able to support the show. The easiest way is just to like, follow, share the live, all that good stuff, and make sure you subscribe. So we appreciate all of that, man. Thank you guys for being here. First up, let's talk about this NBA, some of these NBA playoffs, man. The Clippers, look, they got hot yesterday. Playoff P showed up and got hot. James Harden took over the second half. It was basically a tale of two halves. They got out the Clippers didn't look like they missed a shot the whole first half, or basically the first quarter. They were killing the Mavs. And then they came back down to earth. The Mavs tied the game, and then James Harden took over the game. Literally took over the game. The Mavs had no answer. I know everybody's talking about the second half defensive numbers for the Mavs. Get out of here with that. Stop using nerd analytics to describe basketball. Just use your eyes. You know they don't guard people. They didn't do it yesterday, and they got cooked. That's what happens, man. That's what happens. We gotta stop all the nerd analytics all the time, man. Sometimes just use your eyes. Just use your eyes. Know what you see and talk about it. It is what it is. I appreciate it. The analytics side of a lot of stuff. But sometimes none of that stuff makes any sense. So either way, bottom line is the Clippers got hot. Harden got hot. And they ended up taking down the Mavs, evening up that series without Kawhi. Now, look, Kawhi's hurt. So it was a liability, in my opinion, with him being hurt. They didn't play him yesterday. I don't even know if he's going to play the rest of the series. I heard a report yesterday that after he played game 3 that his knee swelled up to the size of a softball. I'm like, Lord have mercy. This guy, man, just got the worst knees. I feel so bad for him because if Kawhi Leonard is not injured, to me, I think Kawhi Leonard is probably a top 15, top 20 player all time in the NBA. But with those creaky knees, man, gee, many Christmas. It's just, it's sad is what it is. It's sad because we don't like seeing people get hurt. You know, if you're not any good, okay. There's a lot of us that aren't any good. I mean, it's the way of the world. But when you can't play because you're injured, that's what I don't like. Unfortunately, that's what we're looking at with Kawhi Leonard. And it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing right now. So don't necessarily like it. Hopefully they can turn that stuff around and we can make it work. But either way, Clippers look good. They won a bunch of they made a whole bunch of shots. Lord have mercy. They made a whole bunch of shots. In that first quarter, I don't know that they meant Norman Powell knocking down jump shot, and they were contested. They were knocking down contested shots. So Paul George was on fire the first half. He had 26 points. I mean, made 6 threes. He was like 6 of 9, just couldn't miss. And then he made one late, another contested 3. And James Harden just took over. Luka didn't have the greatest game. A lot of empty stats. Kyrie was cooking. Lord have mercy. They couldn't stop Kyrie. I thought they could have given him the ball a lot more. So I thought they could have given him the ball a lot more, but they didn't. I get it. You got Luka, but Kyrie had it going. They should have given him more. And he had 40. He could have had 50. Could have had 55 if they'd have given it to him more. He was cooking that much. Good for Kyrie. I like it. But series is tied 2-2. Going back to LA, it could be a problem for the Mavs. I picked the Mavs in 6 to start this series. It could be a problem. It could be a problem. You know, game 5 is pivotal. I thought they should have had that game yesterday, but they spent all their energy, just like we see so many times. A team spends all their energy to come back and get into the game. They did, and then it was over. You know, then once it came time to winning time, they had no more energy left, and Harden and the Clippers and Paul George, they took over the game, and then that was the end of it. The Mavs had no second punch. They initially punched and hit back, but they didn't have a counter after the Clippers countered, and that was the end of that one. So going back, it's going to be tough. I still think the Mavs can win the series, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. The game that I really wanted to talk about in the NBA, and again, like I said, we're going to get through some of this NBA stuff as quick as possible so we can go on and talk about these NFL drafts, is the 76ers. I didn't put this one up as one of the topics, but I think I'm a Joel Embiid fan. I am an Embiid fan. But Joel Embiid made one of possibly the dirtiest plays that I think I've ever seen on a basketball court yesterday, and I have nothing to defend it. There's nothing to defend it. Embiid's on the ground. For people that didn't see it, Embiid falls to the ground, and Mitchell Robinson ends up gathering the ball. It's underneath the basket. Mitchell Robinson gathers the ball, and he's going up for a shot. Embiid grabs his leg as he's up in the air, as he's coming down, as he's going to take off. He went to grab both of his legs and then ends up grabbing one of the worst, dirtiest plays. I mean, because his knee, when it came down, Embiid had a hold of it, and it folded underneath him. It could have been worse. I'm like, yeah, that's about as dirty as it gets, man. That's about as dirty as it gets. And again, I'm an Embiid fan. I am an Embiid fan, but that was bad. That was a dirty basketball play. And Philly got beat again. You can't guard Jalen Brunson. You're letting him dominate this series. After he struggled the first 2 games, the next 2 games, he has been absolutely on fire. You have no answer. You should have won game 3, or you should have won game 2. You let that one get away. They should have won game 4. They let that one get away. It's 3-1 going back to New York. I think they end the series. I think they end the series in game 5. Knicks are going to move on. Philly's going to quit. That'll be the end of it. Embiid will come up lame like he always does. He'll get hurt, and they won't have an answer, and that'll be the end of it. That'll be the end of it. So it's It's bad. It was bad. That was a bad play by Embiid. Like I said, I'm a big, huge Embiid fan. I love Embiid. Again, another guy that if he wasn't constantly hurt would be better. But that was ugly. That was ugly. And there's no excuse. I can't defend it. So I can't defend it. Knicks are going to end up winning in 5. Yep. I picked Philly in 6. But I'm wrong. I did caveat that with Embiid being healthy, and he's not, but he's out there. I'm one of those guys. Y'all know me. If you're out there, I don't want to hear the excuse. Either you can play and you're out there, or you can't play and you're not. And yeah, I get it that you might be hindered by injuries, but I'm not trying. I don't want to hear the excuses, man. I don't want to hear the excuses. So you got to win. You got to win. If Embiid wasn't there, I'd have a totally different take on it. But he is. And he's playing well on offense. Now he can't do anything defensively. He just can't. He can't move around. He can't even get rebounds anymore. The Knicks killed him on the glass yesterday because Embiid can't move to go grab rebounds anymore. He just can't do it. But a bad play. Knicks move on. Now, here's the one. Like I said, this is what I put down as one of the topics. What are they going to do in Phoenix? What are they going to do in Phoenix? They got swept by the Timberwolves. Now, don't get me wrong. The Timberwolves are very good. The Timberwolves are very good. They're a good basketball team. And they play defense. But Lord have mercy. Phoenix, it's over. Don't y'all think it's over? As quick as it got started, because this did not work. You've got to move off of somebody. They're not going to move off Durant, and they're not going to move off Booker. I think you got to trade Bradley Beal for parts. You got to trade Bradley Beal for spare parts. You got to get him out of there because number one, he was a shell of himself this year. He wasn't very good. He was hurt. He doesn't conform to being a number 3. So that was bad. So you got to get him out of there. You just got to get him out. So I don't know what you're going to do. You got to get a point guard. I don't know why they didn't think that they needed a point guard. That's one of the dumbest things that I've ever heard of. But whatever. They got to figure out something. My man, Mo Talk Sports says Bradley Beal's got a no trade clause. You got to talk him into being traded. You just have to. You got to talk him into being traded. You got whatever you can do. You got to get him out of there because it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's ugly. It is ugly. Whew. So somebody's saying that Embiid is the version of Dak Prescott. No, he's not. Let's not be stupid now. Embiid hasn't been the reason that the 76ers have lost when he's healthy. So that's a weird comment for somebody to make. But yeah, Embiid hadn't been the reason. Now, I see him being hurt, but he hadn't been the reason. And especially this series, he hasn't been the reason. He's killing the Knicks. How about Tobias Harris? Where's he? Tobias Harris made $243 million in his NBA career. He's making $36 million. What's Tobias Harris doing? Averaging 8 points a game. That's your number 3? That's not enough. Come on, people. So, now here's a good comment. Again, Mo Sports talking about it. You're right. Suns are done. They're saying KD said the Suns didn't have him right. Oh, come on. Yeah, you're right. KD again. I'm done with KD, man. I am done with him constantly. Everybody gives LeBron all these problems. And they badmouth LeBron because of the decision and LeBron's this. And they blame LeBron for everything. Yet LeBron not one time has asked for a trade. He has never asked for a trade. He has honored his contract everywhere that he has been. Kevin Durant has not. He has not. And yet, this is what we do. I just, oh, goodness. Again, He's mad. They're bad. The team is structured horribly. There was a lot of people, not me, I'm not going to take credit for it, but there was a lot of people out there that said that they were structured bad at the beginning of the season. I said not having a point guard was going to be a problem. But Lord have mercy. Just to be this bad, yeah, it's they got to do something different. Like I said, try to get Bradley Beal out of there. You got to talk him into it, out of his no trade clause. Sell him off for spare parts. Try to get you a point guard of some kind. You can't have three guys that are ball dominant and nobody to facilitate. That was never going to work. It didn't work. You have no center worth a damn. Pathetic. Pathetic. Then we got people over here. My man Ginger Snap saying LeBron's never going to be the GOAT. Do you see what I'm talking about? We're talking about Kevin Durant, but people yet still, it's like LeBron slept with their mother or something. You still got to badmouth them. It's absolutely unbelievable, people. Lord have mercy. You know I love you, Ginger, but come on, man. Lord have mercy. So, ugly. Ugly, ugly. But they were bad. The Suns were bad. The Suns were bad. Yeah, that was bad. So, the Suns were bad. Suns were bad. That was ugly. That was ugly. So, and no, Ginger, I wasn't. I brought up LeBron as an example, my man. But it is what it is. It is what it is. I don't know what they're going to do. Honestly, I honestly don't know what they can do. But that was ugly. And they got swept. They should have got swept. What we should be talking about, and it's my mistake, it's my fault, we should be talking about Anthony Edwards and how good he is. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Anthony Edwards taking the next step into being a superstar in this league. Let's talk about that. I apologize. We don't need to be talking about freaking the Suns and how bad they are. Let's talk about what Minnesota is and what Anthony Edwards is. Let's go that route. Because he dogged him. He talked trash. He told him he was coming. Pause. No diddy. And he came and just dominated the entire series. Just dominated the entire series. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. I like Minnesota. I'm interested to see what they do in the next round, depending on who wins. Depending on who wins, these playoffs are just starting to heat up, in my opinion. Just starting to heat up, in my opinion. So, New Orleans series is over. OKC is just blowing them out, just absolutely crushing them. So, just crushing them. But we'll see. Who gives Denver a tougher series, OKC or Minnesota? I don't know. I would think Minnesota, just because Minnesota's got a big guy that can kind of match up with Jokic a little bit better. But we'll see. We'll see. Plus, that experience factor is going to come into play. Look, OKC is just so much better than the Pelicans, especially without Zion. They didn't get mentally tested in this first round. They haven't been mentally tested. That'll happen in the next round. So we'll see. We will see. So, my man, Houston Davis, New York, everything has arrived. We've been on it. We talked about New York. You missed it. I gave your Knicks your credit. I gave the Knicks credit. I said I was wrong about Philly winning in 6, and you missed it. I gave you your shine, brother. I give you your shine, and you wasn't here to hear it. But you're right. Like, hey, by the way, you were on Embiid. I said it. You missed it. I think that was one of the dirtiest plays I think I've ever seen anybody do in the NBA, what Embiid did. Grab a guy around his legs when he's going up to take a jump shot. That's about as weak as it gets. And then grab on it when he's coming down. Dirty basketball. Dirty basketball. No ifs, no ands, no buts. It was dirty basketball. It was dirty basketball. So that's all I'm going to say. But I think the Knicks win that series. But let's move on, man. Let's move on and let's talk about what people are wanting to talk about in the NFL as far as the NFL draft. Let's get it going. So, by the way, man, anybody, there's a live link that you can always click on if something happens, anything freezes up where you're watching. If you go to my bio, there's a live link that you can click on that will not freeze up and you can watch. So that's what I'll say. So stay active in the chats. I appreciate that. But if you're on whatever platform you happen to be on, if it freezes up, just go into my bio. There's a live link that you can click on. Boom. And you don't have to worry about it freezing up on that link. So let's just start there. Let everybody know that. We appreciate it. Again, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time, Big B Daily. We are live. So let's get on with these draft grades, man. Let's get on with it. Let's get on with it. So the main thing is, let's start. Holy mackerel. Let's start with who the 5 worst draft grades. Let's start there. Who had the 5 worst grades that were out there? And then participation. Tell me who you guys think. For me, and I'm going to pull this up for real quick. I think the 5 worst were the Bills, the Browns, and the Browns just didn't do much. The Giants, the Broncos, and Lord have mercy, the Falcons. I just, and here's the thing. And people can say the Cowboys were bad too. No. I see somebody, the Cowboys were bad too. The Cowboys were bad too. But these are the 5 that I think had the worst grade, were the Bills, the Browns, the Giants, the Broncos, and the Falcons. The Falcons, look, you got to look deeper than just taking Penix. Okay, they took Penix, and why? I have no clue. No clue. But then they reached on the second pick, a guy that they could have gotten the 3rd, maybe the 4th round. They trade up to draft that guy. I'm like, what are you doing, Falcons? Oh, man. They weren't even trying. They weren't even trying. That's one of the worst drafts. Oh, my goodness. No. Somebody is saying the Penix pick was actually smart. No, it wasn't. Stop trying to justify it. No, it wasn't. Don't talk to me about the future. You just signed a guy for $100 million. Stop it. Somebody tried to even tell me, oh, well, what if Cousins isn't playing good this year, they'll just throw Penix in. In what world do you bench a $100 million quarterback? In what world? That's not what's going to happen. They aren't putting him on the bench. Stop it. It was a bad pick. We can all just say it and admit it. It was a bad pick. It's you didn't address the need, because the Falcons are built to win right now. Don't talk to me about the future. The Falcons, if Cousins was on their team last year and he was healthy all year, they win 3 more games and they win that division. Period. End of story. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. If Kirk Cousins playing the way that Kirk Cousins normally does, if he's on the Falcons last year, they win 3 more games and they win the division. Period. But now, we're drafting for the future. What do you mean? You're in a bad division. You paid a guy $100 million to play quarterback. You've got a chance. And everybody, what if he gets hurt? I'm like, man, everybody on the football field could get hurt. That's not why you do this. You don't pay a guy $100 million and then all of a sudden draft his backup and say, we're drafting him in the 1st round in case this guy gets hurt. That's not how football is done. That's not what you do. People got to stop. They got to stop. And again, it isn't anything against Michael Penix because I think he's fine. And I don't think he was the best quarterback in the draft. But people think, well, Brian, you say that, you don't think Penix is any good. That doesn't have anything to do with it. I think Penix could be fine. Now, clearly, nobody knows anything on this, but it's not the player. It's why you took the player and based on what else you needed. They still didn't address the pass rush. Tell me why. 81 sacks in 3 years is horrendous. That's what the Falcons have. And they decided, we'll take a backup quarterback that's not going to play for at least 2 years. That was their solution to their pass rush problem. That was their solution. And then tried to come out and justify and say some nonsense like, oh, well, we're never going to draft this low again, so we wouldn't be in this position. Man, shut up. Shut up. If that was the case, then you should have never signed Kirk Cousins. Because now you felt the pressure because the Falcons fans were mad about it. Now all of a sudden, you take Penix trying to make up for the fact, and your biggest hole that you've had on your roster for at least 3 years, you still didn't do anything about it. The Falcons get an absolute F. If there was something worse than an F, the Falcons would have got that. The Falcons would have got that. So somebody talking about Cousins being old. There's a lot of guys that are old. If he's so old, then why did you sign him? Let me ask. And it's like the people, these apologists are saying, hey, we signed Cousins, but we think he's going to get hurt and he's too old. Well, if that's the case, I'm not even saying you're wrong. Then why did you sign him? Oh, man, he's going to get hurt. He's old. Then why did you sign him? I mean, tell me why. If that's what your thinking is going into this, is that he's old and he's going to get hurt, tell me why you gave him $100 million. I'll need you to explain that. And once you can explain that, then we can start having a conversation. But the last time I checked, you don't give people $100 million because you don't think they're very good. I could be wrong. But I don't think the Falcons brass went into signing Kirk Cousins saying, you know what? I think this guy is old and he can get hurt. So let's give him $100 million guaranteed on a 4-year, $180 million contract. Let's do that because we think he's going to get hurt and he's old. Stop it. It's just, you've got to stop. It's okay for the Falcons to make a mistake. They did. Period. Let it go. We don't have to try to justify it. They made a mistake. And it's one way or the other. Either they made a mistake in signing Cousins, or they made a mistake in drafting Penix with number 8. One of the two ways, and I know what people will say, you get into the season and Cousins gets hurt. See, it was a great pick. Yeah, but you still got 11 sacks on the season. So, no, stop it. It's just dumb. Whew. But whatever. I want to see the Falcons succeed, but they can't succeed making dumb decisions like that. So, can't succeed. But we'll see. I hope for the best. The Broncos, it was bad. It started out bad and it didn't get a whole lot better. Bo Nix was really at 12. Bo Nix, come on. What are we doing? What are we doing? It started bad. The Bills, and part of it is the Bills of who they took. But the Bills just basically let their rival that they can't beat in the playoffs, they let him get better. They traded with him and allowed him to get better. What are you doing? What are you even trying? Because I don't think you're trying when you trade with freaking the Kansas City Chiefs and allow the Chiefs to go and get exactly what they need. I don't think you're trying, but that's just me. Bad. Bad, bad, bad. All the way around for the Bills. The Browns really didn't do it. And when you don't have a pick, to the third round, I mean, the Browns really didn't do much. But the pick that they got, I mean, D-line, I don't think that the guy that they took on the D-line is going to help them. I don't think he's going to help them at all. His tape and just his measurables on what he did, I don't think that's you could say it's a position of need, but he's not going to help them. They could have went a multitude of different ways for the Browns, but we'll see. And then the Giants, Lord have mercy. I mean, hey, Daniel Jones is their guy. Again, it's not Malik Neighbors. Don't get caught up in saying, Brian, Malik Neighbors. I like Malik Neighbors, but everybody that's watching right now, they know that the New York Giants have a terrible offensive line. And do you know that the Giants did not select one? I mean, do you know that the New York Giants did not select an offensive lineman? Can somebody explain that to me? I'm trying to figure it out. But did you guys know that the Giants, who have a horrible line, did not take a lineman? Terrible. Just terrible. So, but whatever. Those are the 5 bad ones. The Bills, the Falcons, the Browns, the Giants, and the Broncos. Terrible, terrible drafts. Now, the one thing I will admit, there wasn't a bunch of NBA, or not NBA, NFL draft. There wasn't a bunch of terrible ones this year. In years past, you could say, oh man, there were 10 that were terrible. There wasn't that this year. There wasn't. There was actually a lot of good ones, and I'm about to go over the best drafts in my opinion, and I'm sure there's going to be some other people that are out there that have some other names. The first name that I'm going to tell you that I don't have in my top 5, I think the Raiders. I think the Raiders had a good draft. I think the Raiders did really well. Yeah, somebody over here. I think the Raiders did well. The Titans, I think, did okay. I don't have them in my top 5, but yeah, there's a lot of that going on. A lot of that, but I'll go down the list. Excuse me. I'll go down the list here, and we'll talk about it. First off, I'm a homer. I got them on. The Steelers. Steelers got an A-plus draft. But the only thing that the Steelers didn't do is they didn't address corner. But I think the Steelers are going to dive into the second wave of free agency and address corner with maybe a Cam Sutton, J.C. Jackson, which I don't know that I like that. Xavier Howard, I don't know that I like that. I keep saying J.C. Jackson and Xavier Howard were cap casualties, but it wasn't because of money. It was because they can't play anymore. Because if they could still play at a decent level, regardless of the money that they're making, they would still be on those football teams, and they're not. So, but I think that's where the Steelers are going to go with that. But I thought they did well. So, I think they did well. And then the Steelers, the Bears, obviously. Look, you could just stop at the first 2 picks. The Bears got better. But that wasn't the only place that the Bears got better. I know a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people, and I've been saying this all along, people are so insecure about Caleb Williams talking about, well, he paints his nails. And I've been saying it's just a bunch of insecure men that are mad that he paints his nails. Okay, and he took a picture in a dress. Get over it, people. Get over it. But the Bears had 5 picks. They took Uduze, who a lot of people think could have been the best wide receiver in the draft. I don't, but he could be. He's up there. They addressed all the needs that they could with the picks that they had. So I think they did well. Austin Booker I thought that was on the edge. I think he was around a late 3rd round pick. They got him in the 5th. Good value. And you'll know I can't stand Kansas, but he's a good player. He's going to help them. Like I said, he's a late 3rd round pick that they ended up getting in the 5th round. That's another reason why the Steelers did so well. I mean, they got guys, just value picks, crazy. I also think the Arizona Cardinals did well. I think the Arizona Cardinals had a great draft. Just knocked it out of the park. Didn't move around. I thought a lot of people thought, well, they're going to move from 4. I'm like, no, don't do that. I go, you've got 2 picks in the 1st round. You don't need to move down, man. Don't do that. Just stay right where you're at and just take the guys. And they did. But I thought Arizona had a really good draft. They had a ton of picks, but I thought they did a really good job, man. I just do. I do. I think they did a good job. The Eagles is going unnoticed by a lot of people. The Eagles did a great job. And then the Lions. The Lions did a great job. Again, kind of going a little bit unnoticed. But I think the Lions did a great job, for what they needed. They needed a corner. They needed a receiver. And I just think the Lions did fine. I think getting the 2 corners where they got them, yeah, because they needed corner help. They needed corner help. Bad. And they got it. So I thought the Lions did well. So mine is the Steelers, the Bears, the Cardinals, the Eagles, and the Lions. What other grades, or who else do you guys think should be in the top 5 as far as the best drafts out there? I'll look around. The Chargers, yeah, the Chargers did well. Chargers did well. I like that. I liked it. Chargers did well. Joe Alt, I mean, I think he's one of the more underrated guys that are in this draft. And it goes because their tackles don't get a lot of flash. I think Joe Alt might have been the best player. I mean, if a tackle can be the best player, which I don't know why they can't, I think he might have been the best player in the draft. And for them to get him, I mean, look, they did it right. You got this quarterback you're paying a ton of money to. You think he's the franchise, which I think he probably is. Got to protect him. And now they got 2 tackles. So they got something going. So the Commanders, here's the thing about the Commanders. The Commanders, the people that they took aren't terrible. And this is where I'm conflicted on the Commanders. The guys that they took aren't terrible. But the Commanders' offensive line was horrible. So why didn't you draft an offensive lineman? Not one. Or I take that back. They drafted 1. I'm like, come on now. What are you doing? So I don't get it. I didn't get that. I did not get that. But we'll see. We'll see. The Saints did a decent job with what they had. You're right. They did. The Saints did a decent job. So for the picks that they had, the Saints did fine. Steelers didn't pick up any undrafted free agent cornerbacks. No, I don't think so. But you're not going to fill the holes. Steelers need somebody that can come in and play right now. And yes, I'm not saying that you can't find any diamonds in the rough in undrafted free agents. I'm not saying that. But there's actual free agents that are out there that the Steelers can go and get to plug those holes. So there's guys that are out there. So we'll see. We will see. Titans' first 2 picks were really good. Yes, they were. I'm not sure about the rest of the draft, but the first 2 picks for the Titans, yeah. I mean, they needed a tackle, and they got a tackle. I love what Tennessee did. And then on the turn, I don't know. Sweat, to me, if the motor is there, he's really good. He's if the motor is going to be there, he can be really good. I don't put too much stock. Everybody, well, you made a bad decision with the DUI. Hey, man, look, we can continue to say that, and not that you can't put people in harm's way. That is not what I am saying, because you can hurt people. What I am saying is the people that are out there that don't get caught on a DUI, that number exudes the people that actually do get caught. So let's not act like his decision-making is horrible and because the rest of us are out there making the best decisions. We got to stop doing that. We got to stop. There's millions and millions and millions of people that drive drunk every day and don't get caught versus somebody that did. So I'm not saying it's a great decision. All I'm saying is that really a character flaw? When I would say if people that actually drink, I would say, I don't know, 70% of the people that actually drink have driven legally intoxicated. So I'm not sure that that's a character flaw. I'm just not sure. So, but I do like what they did. I do like what Tennessee did. Who else do you guys like? Who else do you guys like out there? The Jets. You know, I had some people talk to me a little bit about the Jets. I didn't think the Jets was bad. I didn't think the Jets, I didn't think they did bad. I know their first pick was great. I was furious when they took him. Oh, man. I thought the Steelers were going to be able to get him. So I know he's got small hands, which, okay. But I think they needed offensive line help. They got it. But I think the Jets were kind of drafting for, you know what? We got our team kind of set right now. We're just looking for depth for this entire draft. We're not looking for somebody to come in and start. We just need depth at all positions. And I like that about what the Jets did. We're not looking for guys to come in and start right now. We need to just add a ton of depth. And that's what the Jets did. There's nothing wrong with that. If you like your team and it's a little bit older and their team, the free agents they brought in, they're a little bit older, go get some depth. The pick that I love the most, Jordan Travis. I think Jordan Travis got a future. If he doesn't break his leg, he's better than Bo Nix. He's better than Michael Penix. I like Jordan Travis, but he broke his leg. I'll just tell it like it is. I like that pick. I was hoping you weren't going to bring this up, Mo Talk Sports, the Ravens. I don't know what I can do to possibly get the Ravens to have a bad draft. When has the Ravens ever had a bad draft that anybody can remember? I mean, when was that? I just can't remember when the Ravens had a bad draft. Oh, my God. Every year they knock it out of the park. Lord have mercy. I'm like, it's just in their DNA to have great drafts, and they did it again. Damn it, they did it again. Oh, my goodness. I'm just like, what can we do? But you look at Baltimore. Oh, Nate Wiggins, all the way at 30. Come on. Jiminy Christmas. They did it again, though. The Ravens knocked it out of the park. Their draft. They know what they know what they're doing. That's just the thing. In Baltimore, they know what they're doing. They've got a system. Ozzie Newsome put it in place decades ago, and it's just filtered down. They don't deviate from their plan, and they crush it. Every single year, they crush it. Okay, and Brock Bowers for the Raiders is going to get used, a really big slot receiver. Yeah, I like the Raiders draft. You know, they had other needs, and I thought maybe they could go offensive line in the first round. I thought they should have. However, Brock Bowers is really good. It's not his fault that he plays tight end. You know, that's another guy that might have been a top 5 pick in the draft. Or not top 5 pick, top 5 player in the draft. I mean, Brock Bowers is that good. But he plays kind of a luxury position. You know, you want to have good tight ends, obviously, but it's kind of a luxury position. Now, they can use him all over the place. He'll be a mismatch nightmare, you know, especially if you get trips to one side and you bring him to the backside by himself. He can be a nightmare. I mean, he's super athletic. So I like what they did. Plus, Jackson Powers Johnson, they got what a lot of people think is the best center in the draft. I still am partial to Zach Frazier. But a lot of people think that he's the best center in the draft. They got him in the second round, and they needed a center. They third round, they got I mean, just up and down their draft board, the Raiders got better. The Raiders got better. And I know a lot of people don't want to say that, but it's just the truth. The Raiders got better. So good for them, by the way. Good for them. They needed a good draft. So, the Raiders got better, man. The Raiders got better. So let me go over here. Let me continue to get this other platform up and running for us. Boom, boom, boom. Again, if you are watching on a certain platform and it freezes up, all you have to do is click on the link in the bio, come on over to the live stream, to the other live broadcast. It will not freeze up on you. So throwing that out there. And again, Monday through Friday, Big B Daily, we are out here. Come and check us out, 9 a.m. Central Time. We appreciate everybody. If you're not already subscribed, please make sure you do. Again, if you like what we're doing and you appreciate it and you want to help support the show, click the link in the bio. There's a multitude of ways that you can do that. Please, and if that's something that you choose to do, please do so. You can also do so by just clicking on the link and just liking, following, subscribing, and sharing. All that good stuff. So we appreciate it all, man. Thank you guys for being here. Who else did you guys like in a draft, man? Who else had a good draft that I didn't mention? Again, I'll go over it again. The 5 best drafts, in my opinion: Steelers, Bears, Cardinals, Eagles, and Lions. Anybody else that's out there that you guys, let me talk. There's somebody that we're not really talking about is Tampa. I don't think it was one of the best drafts, but I think Tampa had a solid draft. You know, I think, like I mentioned earlier, there wasn't a ton of just bad drafts out there. There wasn't a ton of just some really bad ones. So, yeah, I don't think there was a ton of just bad drafts. So there's that. That's my 2 cents. Not a ton of bad drafts out there. But I think Tampa had a solid one. I like what they did. My man, Ben Tatum. What's going on, Ben? I don't think the Jags had the best draft, but Robinson could be a huge weapon. Yeah, again, I don't think the Jags had a great draft, but it was okay. It wasn't bad. I know that. So their draft wasn't bad. My problem with Brian Thomas Jr., 1 year wonder. I don't like the 1 year wonder guys. I don't like those guys. I like guys that have done it for a few years. Doesn't mean they can't be productive. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I would prefer the guys that have done it for a few years. Now, there's also something to be said. Hey, when you're dealing with an 18 to 22-year-old, some guys develop later than others. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, some guys aren't mentally or physically mature enough to be productive at a younger age in college football. Some guys just develop later. Nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. It just means you develop later. So, yeah, I don't think the Jags had a bad draft. I like what they did. So, I don't know, Brevin. I mean, the Vikings, it was okay. Nothing spectacular. But I think the Vikings did okay. The jury's still out with me on McCarthy, and I know that's, Brian, you're not really answering. You're just skating by it. Well, I agree with what a lot of people say. We just don't know about him. Again, nobody clearly knows how it's going to translate to the NFL and what's going to actually happen. None of us know that. But McCarthy just didn't get to show whether he's really that good or not on a consistent basis. We just didn't. I don't think that he should have to start right away in Minnesota either. That's one thing is I don't know if he has to come in there and be the guy right away. What are your all's thoughts on that? You think he needs to come in? Like, for instance, Drake May going to New England. Nobody's talking about that. I don't think there's a chance in hell that you play Drake May right away. I don't think you do that to save your life because the offensive line is still bad. He's going to get beat up. I just don't think that you do that. I don't think you throw. I mean, whatever happened to just letting a guy develop? And I know the way that contracts are structured these days, they're 5 years, and you got to be able to see if they can play. Well, excuse me, if you let them sit for 1 year and then they play year 2 and then they play year 3, that's not enough time to see if you want to pick up their 5th-year option? You can't. I mean, they have to play immediately, and then we have to see. I don't know that you have to do that, man. I don't know that you have to do that. There's nothing wrong with letting a guy sit and develop. There just isn't. Not in my eyes. So I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Why people have to continue and they just throw the quarterbacks out there. So I don't know. My man Brevin thinks that JJ is kind of overhyped just because he practically perfect. I mean, here's the thing. We just don't know about JJ McCarthy. That's all. He just didn't have to do enough. I do know he was really good on third down. He was the best third down quarterback in college football last year. That's got to mean something. But, him throwing for 3,000, 4,000 yards, I mean, he didn't have to do that. Is that a knock on the quarterback? I don't think you can say that's a knock on the quarterback because we have this rushing attack that just mauls people. And we just do that. And we win. That doesn't mean your quarterback's not good. It just means we don't have to rely on him. So, and I know a lot of people will say, well, if you had a quarterback you could rely on, you wouldn't just run it. That's not the case. I can tell you that right now. Every NFL team in America, or every NFL team that's out there, if you could run the ball for 6-7 yards a carry, even if you're the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes, you're running the football. Period. End of story. If the Chiefs could average 6 or 7 yards a carry and run it 35 times a game, they would do that versus throwing it 25 times. They would absolutely do that. I mean, everybody would do that. And that's a good point. My man Miller Time, Patrick Mahomes sat his first year. Now they had Alex Smith and they had a good team, but he sat. There's nothing wrong with sitting. There just isn't. So there's just nothing wrong with sitting right now. I think people gotta look at that more often. So there you go, Pearland. Or Pierreland, I apologize. When your team is that good, running and playing defense, why would you throw it 30 or 40 times a game? You wouldn't. You wouldn't. So who's in the running back room in Minnesota? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they didn't address it. I know that in the draft. So I don't know. I do not know. But we'll see. We're going to see quickly. Yeah, but Minnesota's draft, for them to be able to get Dallas Turner, who should be an Atlanta Falcon, let's just call it what it is. He should be an Atlanta Falcon. For them to be able to get him at 17, the best pass rusher in the draft. Who ever heard of getting the best pass rusher in a draft at 17? I mean, seriously. Since when in any NFL draft that you can remember that the best pass rusher goes at number 17? Man, the NFL is so offense-oriented now that they just decide that it's all offense or nothing. It's all offense or nothing. Aaron Jones. Yeah, that's right. I forgot Aaron Jones went there. That was weird, wasn't it? From Green Bay to Minnesota. To me, that was weird. I mean, couldn't Aaron Jones have gone to, I don't know, Dallas? That's just my thinking. Why Minnesota for Aaron Jones? And I'm not saying Dallas wanted him. I'm just saying, I mean, there's other places that needed a running back, but I don't know. We'll see. We will see. A good statement here. My thing is by Darren Howard. If you're a first-round QB, you have to be good enough that your coaching staff has to go through you on offense. If you're good, you get throws. In the pros, yeah, not in college. Not in college. You don't do that. I mean, in college, in the pros, yeah, I agree with that. But in college, you don't do that. It's just like high school football. Same thing. You could have an all-world quarterback, but if you're running for 7-8 yards to carry, you just run the football. And you just maul a defense. You maul them into submission. But if you got a quarterback that's good enough, yeah, you're going to get some throws, but you just run it. You run it. I don't even think you do that in the pros. I really don't. Now, you could say they're paying these quarterbacks all this money. You better be good. That's a different conversation. But, yeah, I think if you could just run it for 7-8 yards down somebody's throat and run it and for 35 times a game, everybody would do that. Everybody would do that. Because as quiet as it's kept, I'm not saying running the football in the NFL is easy, but you're making it look easy if you're able to do that. So, yeah, the Colts were wrong, Brevin. The Colts were absolutely wrong. and again, all the medical problems, and yeah, they were just wrong. And I'm not saying he isn't good. Dallas Turner's better than him. Dallas Turner is better than him. I will say that. So, then period, end of story. I don't even have to go into it. Dallas Turner is better than him and proved that he was better than him because everybody thought he wasn't going to be any good once Will Anderson left. They thought Dallas Turner's not going to be the guy. He was only good because Will Anderson played on the other side. Turns out Dallas Turner was damn good himself. That's what it turned out to be. So, let's see here. What else do we got? I appreciate that, Jason. He says, hit the like button. Love the content. Hey, man, I appreciate everybody out there. Again, I love doing this every day for you guys, man. And we're 9 a.m. Monday through Friday, or 9 a.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday, Big B Daily. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you saying that. So anybody that's here, tell your buddy, come check us out. Even if you can't catch it live, I understand. Check it out later. We got a lot to talk about. So, yeah, I thought Brendan Rice would go sooner. I thought he may have been an end of the fourth, mid-fifth round pick. I thought he would go sooner, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So, it was a huge deal when QB started as rookies. Yeah, I remember when it was a huge deal. Now it's expected. Now it's if you're not starting, you have to do it. So it's actually, if you're not starting as a rookie, there must be something wrong with you. That's what a lot of people think. But I think I don't think there's a need for Drake May to go out there and start. Look, how many quarterbacks have we seen that get ruined by bad offensive lines early in their career? David Carr is one of them. I'm not saying that David Carr was great or he was ever going to be great. But what I can say for an absolute fact is David Carr was ruined by a horrific offensive line in Houston. Taking that kind of punishment that early, he was ruined. Hell, we saw Andrew Luck. Perfect example. Andrew Luck retired. He literally retired because the man I'm getting beat up. I can't play anymore. I'm done. We've seen it. We have seen it. It was just ugly. My man Rico, yeah, the Steelers dominated the draft, man. Top 3 for sure. I'm biased, so I say top. I'm biased. At least I can admit I'm biased. But for the Steelers to be able to hit, and I'm going to talk about them, for them to be able to get Fatanu at 20 when he was a top 10 talent, that's crazy. Then to be able to hit center, you needed a tackle, they got one of the best ones in the draft, day one starter. Then to be able to go get your center, who in my opinion was the best center in the draft. Zach Frazier, I think, was the best center. People are going to argue that. I said it before the draft. So you can go back and check. I'm not just saying that because he's a Steeler. I put out several podcasts and videos saying that I thought that he was the best in the draft. So, and that's who I think was. And they got a center. Roman Wilson, for him to be a third-round pick where they got him, he's a second-round talent. If his arms were 1.5 to 2 inches longer, he'd be a first-round talent. He would have been a first-round pick. He has the first-round talent, but you know the measurables. You know how they do. Because his arms were a little shorter, second round. But we ended up getting him in the third round. Good for us. Good for us. I'll take it. I'll take it all day long. Yeah, Steelers killed it. And then Peyton Wilson in the fourth round, or in the third round, at the end of the third round, who is arguably the best linebacker in the draft, inside linebacker. Yeah. And Steelers killed it. Mitch McCormick. Yeah. I mean, he's a value pick. He's not going to come in and start right away, but he can play all 3 of the interior line positions. And I put out a video. Look, James Daniels' contract is going to be up next year. Now, he's only 26, but do we need to be paying James Daniels at right guard $9 million? I don't think so. I don't think you have to do that. We got a guy that can come in and play, not this year, but next year when you let James Daniels go. So, I love it. Yeah, man, I agree with you, Rico. Mitch McCormick, I'm telling you, he's nasty at the point of attack, physical, and he's athletic as hell. Steelers did something with this draft. Omar Khan, good for him. And again, I mean, he didn't move around. He stayed patient. There's something to be said for staying patient and getting the guys that you need. You don't always have to give up. Look, the Steelers had holes. They needed players. They didn't need to move up to get one guy. That's not what they needed. If anything, they could have moved back, but I'm glad they didn't. They got the guys that they needed. They're good. They did well. Again, I could go on all day long about the Falcons. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to continue to do that and bust their head in. I'm just not. So we'll see. So Brevin says, no, you can't keep Daniels, speaking as a Bears fan. Y'all gave him away, man. You gave away Daniels, and turns out he was pretty damn good. But for $9 million, we could move on. I get it. But yeah, man, as I like James Daniels, but no, for $9 million, $9 million plus a year, we'll move on from that. Oh, we got somebody. My man Robert Rhodes said they're still going to lose. I'm just asking questions. Like when you hear comments like the Steelers are still going to lose, when did the Steelers lose? Like when was that? And I'm just curious. I'm just asking questions. I'm not trying to be. I'm like, when did the Steelers oh man, the Steelers suck? Like when was that? Was anybody alive? Like when the Steelers sucked, was anybody that's in here, was anybody alive? When you could just say, other than you're just hating, when did the Steelers suck? Because I don't remember. I take that back. In the 80s, the Steelers were bad. There was a few years that the Steelers were bad. We had Bubby Brister. But other than that, it's just a foolish comment, brother. Stop it. I think the Kansas City Chiefs draft was very good, too. I think the Chiefs draft was good, too. I think what they did in the first round, how they fleeced Buffalo, The Steelers didn't make it to the playoffs this year. Robert, you don't watch football. We'll stop addressing you. We appreciate you being in here, but you got to watch football if you're going to make those kinds of comments. But yeah, I think what the Chiefs did, the Chiefs were great. I mean, they fleeced Buffalo into getting a receiver. I'm not sure that Xavier Worthy is the world's greatest receiver like Chiefs fans are trying to make him out to be. But what I do know is he's super fast, and he's not just a fast, okay, all I'm going to do is take the top off the defense. He can run the full route tree. He can do that. Sometimes he's got questionable hands, but he can run the full route tree. I think what they did, I think that's a good thing. I think what the Chiefs did with their draft, I like what they did. I like what they did with their draft. The Chiefs move around, but that's kind of what they do. They move around. They go up and down. You know, they go find the guys. They identify them. I like what they did. Jarrod Wiley, he could be a replacement for Travis Kelce. I'm not saying he's going to be Travis Kelce when I say replace him. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that he can be in the same mold. Because Travis Kelce's only going to play another year, maybe 2. He's not playing 5 more years. That's not happening. I personally, I think this is Travis Kelce's last year. That's what I think. So, but we'll see. But I like what the Chiefs did. I do. I like what the Chiefs did. They always seem to have a good draft. They know how to pick corners. They did it again. So we'll and late round corners. You know, 4th round and lower. They seem to hit. So good for them. Good for them. But yeah, I like the Chiefs draft. Any other draft out there before we shut this one down that anybody wants to talk about? I guess we never really talked about Philly. I said they had one of the top 5 drafts out there, but Quinyon Mitchell, a lot of people think he's the best corner. I don't think he was the best. I think he was the top 3. But a lot of people thought he was number 1. I had him 3rd behind Terrion Arnold and Nate Wiggins. But to get him at 22, again, best corner, arguably the best corner in the draft at 22 is insane to me. Cooper DeJean, I got my thoughts on him. I don't think he's going to be the world. If they play him right, I think Cooper DeJean's going to be good. He's not an outside corner. I think he's a slot corner / safety. If the Eagles play him like that, you got you something in the 2nd round. I like it. If you try to just line him up outside and do that and playing press coverage, you're going to have problems. You're going to have problems. So they went and got another edge. You know they're good at drafting edges. The Chargers, yeah, I like the Chargers draft too, man. I like the Chargers draft. I do. Somebody said the Colts. Nah, I don't know about the Colts draft. I mean, it wasn't horrible. You know, I didn't think the Dolphins draft was anything special at all. Average at best. I didn't think the Dolphins draft was anything special. So, sorry. I apologize. But I do like what the Chargers did, though. Absolutely. So, Pats did okay. I think New England – look, and I mentioned it before. Like I said, before we shut this thing down, I don't think there was a whole lot of drafts out there that were bad. I don't think they're – in years past, we've seen 8, 10 teams that had bad drafts. There wasn't that this year. Now, there were 5. And we went over those. The Bills, Falcons, Browns, Giants, and Broncos. But I don't think there wasn't 10 teams that had bad drafts. Yeah, there just wasn't. Now, again, the Chargers, good draft. Rams, good draft. But the Dolphins, nothing special. And then Indy, I don't know, man. Latu, he wasn't the best pass rusher available. Dallas Turner is better than him. But I don't know. Maybe they like Latu. Maybe he's a better fit for how the Colts want to use him. Now, Adonai Mitchell, I hate the draft process when people come out and try to bash these kids' character and reputations. Like, you didn't hear him being a problem at Georgia. You didn't hear of him being this or that he's uncoachable. If he's uncoachable, then why is he on the field? Like, he didn't have to be on the field at Texas. He didn't have to be on the field at Georgia, but he was. But he's uncoachable? Come on, man. Stop it. Stop it. So, what are my thoughts are Garindo to the Niners. I like it. They got themselves a player. I know I'm biased because I love Louisville, but he does exactly what they do out of the backfield. He does what they need him to do. He runs hard in between the tackles, and he can catch the ball in the backfield. Yeah, he is an outstanding, I'm not going to say a compliment to Christian McCaffrey because I don't necessarily think there's a compliment, but he can do the things that he does. Not as well, so I'm not saying that, so don't go off the deep end. But I think he can do the things that you're not going to, oh, man, you got to change your whole offense because you got another running back in the game. You're not going to have to do that with him. So, my man Pat Cockrell, which QB wins the battle of mid in Denver? I don't know. I mean, they're probably going to play Bo Nix some, and they probably want Bo Nix to win the job. But we'll see. I guess a better question is who they going to throw the ball to, because I got a feeling they're going to get rid of Cortland Sutton. So if they do, who are they even going to throw the football to? So Torrey Taylor, the punter, was an insane pick for the Bears at 3rd or 4th round. I forgot which round. I mean, a punter is early, but I don't think punter is one of those positions. It was the 4th round, and I don't think it was one of those positions where you just say, screw it. I think you got to look. The Steelers did that a couple years ago and took Percy Harvin, and he was terrible. So, terrible. Not to mention he was a 300-pound punter, so that was a problem. So, we'll see. Well, man, I appreciate everybody being in here today, man. Thank you, guys. We will be back again Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time. We are live, Big B Daily. Do me a favor, like, follow, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Tell a friend. Please show up or continue to show up like you have. Continue to support it. We absolutely appreciate it, man. Thank you guys for doing that. And again, if you like what we're doing, you like what we're putting out there, there's links in the bios on how you can support us. We appreciate everything that you guys are help doing for us. We're continuing to grow. We will be back tomorrow. Aloha.